Hello and welcome to another update video about ICP. ICP has not really moved significantly, at least not in any clear direction, since we started this consolidation in December. So it's really just holding on a very high level. Hasn't really shown any strong motivation to go higher directly from here, even though it's of course possible. But at the moment, the structure, I'm leaning towards more expecting another dip. But we also talk about what would need to happen for me to assume that we are going higher more directly. For now, it's worth understanding. Anyway, I think you do that. You already know about the chart. But for anybody who's new, obviously this chart is a long-term downtrend. So that makes me approach this chart with a lot of, not question marks, but caution. Okay, so it's a long-term downtrend. Regardless of what happened here, I mean, we can start the Elliott wave count at the all-time low because this year, while we have to consider it, it's not so much important for the overall uptrend that started in September. Just something to be aware of because long-term downtrend charts, at some point, they just fail, typically. But in the bull market, it rather tends to pick the bullish case and the bullish scenario. So we're following higher prices against certain support levels, against certain key levels. With any technical analysis, you get the key levels that need to hold in order to maintain an overall bullish perspective. And this would be here either, well, it's the yellow box anyway, in either the yellow count or the white count. The yellow support zone needs to hold for the price to go higher with a high likelihood, okay? It basically is a signal that something bearish is playing out if there is a break below $4.33. And the 433 level is a 78.6 retracement of the rally into the recent highs here in March. And that's the key level where probabilities typically shift from a bullish, let's say, overall assumption to a bearish one. Please be aware that with this chart, it's not like as simple as saying, okay, it's bullish expectations. We have to approach it very much from an angle that we say, okay, we approach this with caution because of the long-term chart. I mean, there's no long-term uptrend. This chart has to prove itself like many all altcoin charts because all of them fail at some point, maybe with a handful of exceptions. And there will be, over time, there will be more coins that will survive cycle over cycle, like for example BNB did, Doge did, quite impressive. What else? I mean, Ethereum, yes, but there are not many others. Most of them die at some point, and this is just not the best start to a chart. But yeah, we've got that 5-wave move up, obviously. We labeled that and talked about that in previous updates. 5 waves up into the March high. And now possibly here this 3-wave pullback in an A, B, C structure. A, B, C. The B wave could have topped, and that's sort of unchanged from the last videos and updates. Idea was that we came down, saw the price come down after this wave 1 topped, or call it an A wave. That really doesn't matter in the short term. Then a wave 2 to the downside could basically be unfolding right now, which is again an A, B, C structure. And you might hear the dog there in the background scratching himself. You got this A wave down, which reached here the area around $11. Then 3 waves up, which could be a B wave. The move down is not strong momentum, but I would say it's a possible 5-wave decline. So I label that as wave 1 of C. That's one potential. There are 2 potentials I'm tracking here. This here now could be wave 2 of C. And the next move down would be wave 3 of C. I can give you a specific target for that once the wave 2 is topped. But then again, micro patterns are always a bit tricky. But it would work out quite well, I think, in terms of this possibly reaching here the 100% extension level. And that's at $8.66. That's at least one key level where we say, okay, we have the length of the A wave. Let's compare that with the length of the C wave. And it points to 866. That's just a common target, okay? But overall, the entire yellow box is relevant. It's just an additional level of interest. Another level of interest is here, the support level at $10.70. Doesn't really have a great meaning in Elliott wave, but it is a previous significant swing low. Breaking below it should increase downside momentum. Now, the resistance area is $14.15 to $15.34. What if we go above $15.34? Well, technically the invalidation point for this wave 2 is not reached until we break below that B wave top at $16.45, pretty much. But it will already get way, I mean, invalidation will become far more likely if we get a break above resistance. So in an alternative scenario, we're likely here in a larger B wave. Yeah? That's absolutely possible, even though this looks more like 5 waves down to me. But then again, you get lots of distortions on the smaller time frames. But from a structural point of view, absolutely no problem to extend this B wave in a larger A, B, C flat structure and then come down. Yeah, it could turn into a large head and shoulders pattern maybe. But for now, the downside pressure is high against resistance. It doesn't mean resistance couldn't break. Of course it can. It's just a pivot. Okay, if the bulls can drive it above resistance, the market tells us, okay, we have to expect something different. Okay, you need those levels for trading. It doesn't mean resistance couldn't break. It's just, of course it can break. Like support levels can break as well. It just means that this is a pivot, and above 1534, another interpretation for which we already have a plan would become more likely. But at the moment, yeah, downside pressure is high below that chart, below that level, but it's not high confidence. We are not really coming down here in a very clean way. It sort of looks corrective on the way down as well, not a lower low. So essentially the structure doesn't even really change significantly. Even if we get a high B wave, it's just an extension of this correction. So that's my update about ICP. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, and please check out the channel membership. Also make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.